We're finally back with another episode of the 10-minute round. It's been a while, and I'll tell you why in just a second. First of all, though, there's like a giant windstorm going on outside, so if that gets picked up in the audio, I apologize. I can't do anything about it. People are fighting for their lives out here. I haven't made a video since before UFC 310. That's because the night before, I was in the ER fighting for my life. I did watch UFC 310. It was okay. I ended up in the ER again a few days later, and I spent a few days in the hospital. I had a surgery. It was a whole thing. Needless to say, long story short, I now identify as a ring girl. So there's that. This card that's coming up, we've had a little break. This card is a little underwhelming. So it's kind of mid, not going to lie. We have a rematch between Mackenzie Dern and Amanda Ribas as the main event. They fought back in 2019. Amanda won that fight. I don't know how different this one's going to be. For a while there, Mackenzie Dern was getting better. She was like her English that she lost once upon a time. Her striking was improving. And then now it's getting worse again. It's just, she was doing okay. I think she was training with Jason Perillo, which is a great boxing coach. He's trained a lot of really good fighters, some champions. But she went through a whole thing, divorce. I don't know, a lot of private stuff that I really don't know a whole lot about because I mostly just look at pictures of her. Don't really listen to a lot of what she says. But she went through this whole thing. She stopped training under Jason Perillo. Her striking has gotten worse. It was getting better and then it got worse. So I don't know how this fight against Amanda is going to go. Obviously, her jiu-jitsu is always, top level. But you also got to get it there. I think one problem with a lot of these Brazilian jiu-jitsu players in MMA is you still need the takedowns. And a lot of them don't really have the takedowns to back up that jiu-jitsu game or to set themselves up for that jiu-jitsu game. And so Amanda knows that Mackenzie's going to want to take this to the ground. And Amanda has enough striking in her repertoire. She's got enough footwork to kind of avoid a lot of that stuff with Mackenzie. So I wouldn't be surprised if Amanda outpoints her. Either way, barring some Mackenzie Dern, get her down, tap her out kind of situation, it's probably going to go to decision. It's probably going to go all 5. We'll see. Other than that, there are a few bright spots on this card. We do have some fights that could be interesting. You have Cesar Almeida, who I think he made his debut against Roman Kopylov, who's also on this card, but he's a kickboxer. They're sending out Abdul Razak Al Hassan for the slaughter. I think they really want a Cesar Almeida highlight knockout because Al Hassan's he's getting up there, man. I think he's 38, 39. I think we're gonna see a pretty brutal knockout in this one. Possibly. Santiago Ponzinibbio is back again. He's on a 2-fight losing skid. He's also another guy who is getting a little older. He's pushing 40, but he has a pretty winnable fight against Carlston Harris. So I don't know how that's going to go. On the other hand, we have Chris Curtis versus Roman Kopylov. Chris Curtis, you know exactly what you're going to get with him. He fights at 1 speed. Pretty solid defense, pretty solid offense, but he never really kind of hits that next gear up to really put it on guys, to really put them away. We're kind of just having a striking battle to decision here. On the other, his opponent, Roman Kopylov, though, pretty good finisher. Is he going to be able to kind of put it on Chris Curtis in that way to kind of get him out of there? Who knows? I'm kind of interested to see this one. I like Roman Kopylov. I think he's an exciting dude. We'll see how it goes down. My personal fight that I'm looking forward to, though, is C-Rod, Christian Rodriguez versus Austin Bashi. So Austin Bashi is a young kid. He was in the Contender Series. His last fight was a Contender Series to get into the UFC. This kid is young. He's very well-rounded. He's pretty good everywhere, and he's super athletic. He's only 23 years old. My boy was born after the 2000s. Okay, that's where we are in MMA. We got these talented kids born after the 2000s. But he has a tall order ahead of him. Christian Rodriguez is not an easy opponent. Christian Rodriguez has beat some very good fighters. He is coming off a loss against Julian Erosa. He lost by guillotine, but before that, he beat Isaac Dolgarian. decision could have gone Isaac's way. Isaac comes out as like a fucking freight train. Like, he is an animal on the ground. He took C-Rod down and was just having his way with him. But he ran out of steam. And Christian Rodriguez is one of those dudes. He's a gritty dude. He's not going to give up on himself. He pulled out the fight. He definitely won the third round. Second round, could have gone either way. But he got the nod on 2 judges' scorecards. He got the win. He gave Isaac Dolgarian his first loss. Same as when he fought Cameron Simon, another young, talented kid who was undefeated at the time. They put him up against Cameron Simon. Christian Rodriguez won that fight. He's definitely out here spoiling parties. He's definitely breaking up some fighters from their undefeated records. He's the same cat who beat Chiwiwis himself, Raul Rosas Jr. He's got a win over Chiwiwis. So I don't know if that's just like with the UFC season, Christian Rodriguez, that he's the kind of test for these young kids. Because like this featherweight division, the young talent in the featherweight division is just wild. Like, and the fact that the UFC is putting all these guys up against each other, like even like I just said, Cameron Simon, they put him up against Peyton Talbot. Like, they've got a lot of young talent in the 145 division, and they're putting them up against each other pretty early. So it's fun to see. I'm really excited about that fight. This fight in particular, I think it's going to be a good one. Otherwise, there are some there's some fights. There's some fights. We haven't had fights in a while. There's some kind of like mid-level opponents all fighting each other. Hopefully we get some exciting highlights out of this. Who knows? All I know is that I'm excited that MMA is back. Besides that, I don't know how much time I have left. I kind of wanted to talk about the GFL, the new league, the new MMA league that's coming out. I might make it its own video, though, because I'm probably going to rip it to shreds. They're doing this thing where they're having like a draft where they pick teams. It's just like it's a whole thing. Oh my God, I got to stop myself because I'm going to shit on it. Just being honest, like it's so like, it's such a like novelty. It's just, why are we doing a draft? Why are we drafting? Why do we have teams? Like, this is just not how this sport works. I think we're just doing it to kind of get thinking that we're going to pull in fans that like other sports, but like people who like MMA. I don't know. I'll make it its own video. For one, this is just like a UFC fight night. It's going down this Saturday, probably at the Apex. I didn't even look to see where the card was at, but my money's on the Apex. So we'll see. I'm glad to be back. It's been a while. I've missed talking about people fighting each other, human cockfights. It's all I think about. It's really all I think about when I was in the hospital. I was like, oh God, I can't wait to see Islam Makhachev versus Arman Sarukian. That's what I did. Actually, I didn't do that at all. I'm lying. I was dying. It wasn't fun. All right. That's it. I'm going to sign off with that. I always like to get a little awkward at the end. Peace.